everything you need to know about Saturday Night Live with John Schneider and James Stevens.
Welcome, everybody, to everything you need to know about Saturday Night Live. My name is John Schneider from the Saturday Night Network.
And I'm James Stevens, and we continue to explore season by season the cast members, sketches, characters, and backstage stories that have made SNL a television institution.
So welcome to everything you need to know about Season 3 of Saturday Night Live. The ratings and reviews for Saturday Night Live continue to climb this season as we are introduced to some new characters as well as many unforgettable hosts and musical guests that have now made fans describe Season 3 as one of the best seasons of the show.
Okay, now.
The entire cast from the previous season returned for Season 3, with some notable additions. Writers Al Franken and Tom Davis, who for the past 2 seasons had occasionally performed segments on the show, were now credited as featured players. Added to the writing staff was Brian Doyle Murray, Second City alum and brother of cast member Bill. Season 3 premiered on September 24th, 1977, with Steve Martin hosting for the 3rd time.
This is what Steve is doing now.
The season premiere features an entirely new opening montage and a fresh take on Weekend Update, now with co-anchor persons
Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin.
This episode also marks the first appearance of everyone's favorite pair of brothers from Czechoslovakia.
We are 2 wild and crazy guys.
Since the departure of filmmaker Albert Brooks in the middle of season 1, director-producer Gary Weiss took over as the show's primary film director. Though we are introduced to films produced by one of the show's writers, Tom Schiller, in Season 3. Schiller's reels, as his films would be referred, are often innovative and artistic. The first of more than 20 films by Tom Schiller debuts on October 8, when Madeline Kahn returned to host the show for the 2nd time.
I don't particularly care for these people. I don't particularly care for television.
A notable moment in that episode occurs when Lorne Michaels announces the Anyone Can Host contest, whereby viewers could write in explaining why they should host, with one lucky winner being chosen.
You will host Saturday night's Christmas show on December 17th.
Playboy founder Hugh Hefner would host the next week.
Thank heaven for a little girl.
The Charles Grodin episode, the 50th episode of Saturday Night Live, is famously remembered to contain a runner throughout the show.
You do this actually live?
Yes!
Grodin's breaking character and clumsy performances are allegedly due to his missing rehearsals all week. The episode features another Simon and Garfunkel reunion.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, everyone, yes.
And the debut of 2 beloved Gilda Radner characters.
Who's coming is the very wicked Queen of Germany, Queen Duffelupsen-Bokenzuchabowski.
Judy Miller, an imaginative young girl, and the unforgettable Rosanna Dana.
A lot of customers complain about hair in their burgers.
The next episode features Ray Charles pulling double duty as host and musical guest.
I can see clearly now that the rain is gone.
Followed by Buck Henry, marking Buck the inaugural member of the Five Timers Club, the so-called organization for frequent hosts of the show.
The experiment was a big success and almost all of them came out of the closet.
Buck Henry uses his monologue to introduce the 5 finalists for the Anyone Can Host contest.
A is the gov, B is the co-ed, C is the unemployed kid, D is the mom, and E is granny.
This episode also aired a famous commercial parody with John Belushi, Little Chocolate Donuts.
They taste good, and they've got the sugar I need to get me going in the morning.
The Donuts of Champions.
Actress Mary Kay Place hosted the first episode in December.
Let's make this the peppiest show ever.
Followed by the winner of the Anyone Can Host contest, 80-year-old Miskel Spillman. In addition to being the only episode in the history of SNL hosted by a non-celebrity.
I've had the most wonderful time I ever had in my life.
Another notable moment was the second performance from musical guest Elvis Costello. Costello started to play Less Than Zero, then stopped his band.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there's no reason to do this song here.
Elvis proceeded to play Radio Radio, a song which criticized the commercialization of television, which NBC asked him not to play.
1978 begins with Steve Martin returning to host for the 2nd time this season. followed by Robert Klein's second time hosting since early season 1.
It keeps me young. It keeps me collegiate.
The Robert Klein episode marks several firsts, including the debut of band member Paul Schaefer's impression of American rock producer Don Kirshner.
Welcome to Rock Concert.
It takes us for the first time to the Olympia Cafe and introduces lovable nerds Todd and Lisa.
Where's those noogies that you wanted?
This episode also delivers an interesting through line that begins with a weekend update report.
Well, that Russian satellite filled with 100 pounds of highly radioactive uranium-235 has finally turned up in, of all places, a Nova Scotia lobster bed. Scientists say that the radioactivity has had no significant effect on marine life in the area, except that the lobsters are now as large as helicopters and you can read in the dark with a mackerel.
Later in the episode, we learn more about the lobsters through an update bulletin.
Minutes ago, President Carter declared a state of national emergency and assured the American people that there was no cause for...
Oh, is that all there is?
Teletype machine went dead after that.
The show ends with giant atomic lobsters invading Rockefeller Center and host Robert Klein describing the chaos.
The dead, the dying, all the humanity.
February started out with Chevy Chase returning to Studio 8H as the first former cast member to return and host the show.
Really miss the show. I'll tell you one thing I miss more than anything. Quite seriously, and that is the applause. I have missed that more than anything.
Minutes before the live show, tensions rose, and Chevy and Bill Murray got into an altercation backstage. The two were separated, and the show aired as planned. In what is truly a time capsule moment for the show, Buffalo Bills running back O.J. Simpson hosted the show.
This is a big moment for me.
Followed by Art Garfunkel returning for the second time this year.
This whole place is falling apart.
This time as host. Garfunkel's episode features Tom Schiller's film Don't Look Back in Anger, in which an elderly John Belushi visits the grave sites of his former cast members.
This is a not ready for primetime cemetery.
The eerie twist of fate surrounding this film is what makes the rewatch so haunting.
The Saturday night show was the best experience of my life. Why did I live so long? I'll tell you why. Because I'm a dancer.
Next, Jill Clayburgh returns to host.
I think you're really special.
Special?
Followed by English actor Christopher Lee closing out the month of March.
I approached this whole thing with considerable trepidation and dread.
The Christopher Lee episode opens with a bit about NBC asking John Belushi to change his name to Kevin Scott,
The network wants him to change his name.
which even carries into the opening credits.
Kevin Scott!
And on Weekend Update, a point-counterpoint segment has Dan Aykroyd retort for the first time.
Jane, you ignorant slut.
April would start with Monty Python member Michael Palin making his hosting debut, followed by another Michael, Saracen. This episode features another memorable Tom Schiller film, La Dolce Gilda, filmed following one of the show's after-parties and shot in a style similar to the Italian filmmaker Federico Fellini.
Dreams are like paper. They tear so easily.
We then come to Steve Martin's third hosting appearance this season alone, known as one of the greatest episodes in the history of SNL.
Oh, did I assassinate your penguin?
First, the Blues Brothers serve as our musical guests. Starting out initially as a warm-up act for SNL's studio audience, their popularity grew, and they now headline the show. This episode brings us the return of the Thestrunk brothers.
We are two wild and crazy guys.
The Nerds.
That's so funny, I forgot to laugh.
And a great piece written by Franken and Davis, where Martin plays a far-fetched forerunner of today's physicians.
Theodoric of York, medieval barber.
You'll feel a lot better after a good bleeding. But I'm bleeding already. Say, who's the barber here?
A classic Marilyn Miller conceived piece depicts a moment where time stands still and Steve and Gilda go dancing in the dark. And of course, Steve Martin's legendary musical performance of King Tut makes this episode a favorite among fans.
Now when I die, I don't think I'm a nut. Don't want no fancy funeral, just one like old King Tut.
Richard Dreyfuss hosts the penultimate show with writer and future cast member Don Novello debuting his Father Guido Sarducci character.
There is no free lunch.
Buck Henry would bring this fantastic season to a close in the finale alongside musical guest Sun Ra. This final episode of Season 3 would be the last time the cast would be introduced as the not ready for primetime players.
Season 3 of Saturday Night Live is an incredible journey from beginning to end. This season has everything: popular recurring characters, impressions, amazing hosts, and seeing the cast truly form and perform as a unit.
Perfect.
Is this the greatest season in the history of Saturday Night Live?
I guess so.
Let us know by commenting below on our video. And as we look ahead, we start to ask, how long can Lorne hold on to these stars before they leave to pursue other projects in Hollywood?
If you are enjoying this series, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel below, and follow us on social media to see all the sketches you need to watch from Season 3 of SNL.
Saturday Night Live Season 3 is available now on Peacock. For all of us here at the Saturday Night Network, I'm John Schneider.
And I'm James Stevens. Good night and have a pleasant tomorrow.